All right, this next topic probably evokes more controversy than anything else in our teaching area. And that is the difference between some agencies or some concept of handcuffing first and searching a suspect second. Now, that's okay in a felony situation, high risk. But in general, short of this high-risk felony situation where you have a gun pointed at a suspect, you have many other risks, in fact, more often than the high-risk felon. Now, let's take each point and discuss it. If you take the premise of handcuff the suspect, then search, let's analyze that. Those that follow that say, if you have the suspect handcuffed, he's much easier and safer to search. And yes, I agree with that. But in police work, you have many instances where you have a legal justification for stopping and searching someone under certain legal conditions, but are not necessarily under arrest. Now, if you follow that premise of handcuff search, now you're taking someone that is not legally under arrest, handcuffing him in order to search. And if you don't handcuff him, you don't search him. There's something wrong with that already. Now, if you have multiple suspects, 2 or 3, and you have the same legal situation where you're justified in stopping, detaining, and even even searching. Now, if you follow that premise of handcuff first and search, that means you have to handcuff one person, search him, take the cuffs off, put the cuff on the next one, search him, take it off, and so on. Well, you're not going to do that. That's not even, functionally practical. So then, if you follow that premise, how do you then search people that are not under arrest but legally detained, and you have the justification for searching for a weapon? It can't be done. So what we say then is, if you follow that same concept and say, okay, now we're going to handcuff and then search. How do you handcuff this person? That becomes the next problem. If you don't do a handcuffing procedure correctly, and he is armed, he has access to that weapon very, very easily while you're trying to get the cuffs on, because you still don't have adequate control. You can't control both his hands. Even if you try to put his fingers together in the back of him to do the cuffing, he can break loose very easily. That is not a good solid control. That only works if the suspect is cooperative. And the fact is that you're going to handcuff someone that has not been searched, and he breaks loose, he has access to that weapon. And then you're going to sit there and try to play catch up and do quick draw with him. That's not a very safe system, and the odds are not very good. Now, on the other hand, our system is, if you have a legal right to stop, detain, and search, but not necessarily under arrest, we put them in a control situation and do the search first in the areas most accessible to a weapon, which is generally his waistband area. And when we done a quick search that we do, and with the controlled environment that we have, it controls the technique, if he does have a weapon and attempts to go for the weapon or resist, we have the ability to take him down into control where he has limited ability and access to that weapon. All right, let me go back and quick review what we're just discussing. As you can see in comparison, those that choose handcuffing first and searching have a problem. Keep in mind that any system will work as long as the suspect is cooperative. But when they're not cooperative, now the question comes up, what avenue do you have now? So those that want to cuff first and search later do have some problems. Because in the interim of trying to cuff, if he breaks loose, he has the gun that he can get to, and you're going to have to try to overcome that. In the other system, where we search first and cuff, we have a control while we're doing the search for the weapon real quick in the areas most accessible to a weapon, that's in the waistband area. And if he has a weapon or he goes for it, we have the ability to counter that and gain control. So just that alone, you'll see the difference between the two. And it's up to you to choose what you think is safer for you. But there's been enough officers that have been killed following that concept of handcuffing before searching, because while they were cuffing, they did not have and cannot control both hands, and the suspect pulled a gun out of his waistband or pocket and shot the officers. In fact, they found the suspect later on after he killed the officer with one handcuff dangling on one wrist, because he never got a chance to complete the cuffing procedure. Because that suspect knows at that point this is his last-ditch effort. He's got a gun, the officer hasn't found it, and if he gets both hands handcuffed, he's going to be lost. So he's going to make that move now, and with the techniques that are being taught, there's no way you can control that violator. Keep in mind, suspect has two hands. The officer has two hands. One of the officer's hands is holding the suspect's hands or hands, whether they're fingers together, however you do it. And the other hand of the officer is going for his handcuffs. Now he's only got one hand that he's trying to hold a suspect with, and he can break loose. I don't care what you use. And now you're going to have to play quick draw, because your hands are on your handcuff. One is on the suspect. The suspect is broken away, can retrieve the gun, and your chances of surviving are not good. So you make up your mind after hearing both sides and decide what you think is safer. We feel that searching first under most conditions other than high-risk felon, that our system is a more viable system. Now, we do have two exceptions to that rule. The exception to that rule is if you're using a weapon, a gun, and putting suspects down prone or kneeling in a high-risk situation, then we do handcuff and then search. But short of that, the only other time is if you're in an altercation with the suspect already, you do whatever it takes to take the suspect, get him control, then continue the search. But short of those two, we say search first, cuff second.